Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Export Digest, your #1 program that periscopes the non-oil export sector, highlighting the opportunities therein and exploring strategies to exploit these opportunities. At Export Digest, we also seek to identify and proffer solutions to challenges in the export sector in such a way that practitioners and policymakers alike can craft a way forward in improving on their respective roles. Remember, our driving passion is to contribute to building a non-oil export-driven Nigerian economy that guarantees a solid future. I am Femi Boyede.
Hello, I'm Denise.
My name is Yinka Titiloye. I'm a farmer. Welcome to the E32 Model Farm.
I'm Craig Waters from Oklahoma State University.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
The business of exporting is one that requires obtaining a lot of documents. Suffice to say that much paperwork is involved. Any businessman or woman who is not thorough enough often finds this part of the process challenging. This is, however, one aspect of trading internationally that one cannot gloss over. For instance, omitting a simple comma in an export contract can distort the essence of the transaction and result in heavy penalties or outright rejection of the exported items, be they commodities, finished goods, or services. The good news, however, is exporters can use the services of the freight forwarder who is used to handling the formidable number of documentation that exporting requires. That established, let us consider in detail the documents commonly used in exporting. Note, though, that the document used in each case will depend on the requirements of both the Nigerian government and that of the importing countries. Viewers who have stayed faithfully with this program would have come across some of these documents on our export tips segment in previous episodes. It must be understood that getting it right with documentation is one of the most critical segments of a successful export value chain.
Hello, I'm Denise.
My name is Yinka Titiloye. I'm a farmer. Welcome to the E32 Model Farm.
I'm Craig Waters from Oklahoma State University.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Commercial invoice. As in a domestic transaction, the commercial invoice is a bill for the goods from the buyer to the seller. A commercial invoice should include basic information about the transaction, including a description of the goods, the address of the shipper and seller, and the delivery and payment terms. The buyer needs the invoice to prove ownership and to arrange payment. Some governments use the commercial invoice to assess customs duties. Bill of lading. Bills of lading are contracts between the owner of the goods and the carrier, as with domestic shipments. There are two types. A straight bill of lading is non-negotiable. A negotiable or shipper's order bill of lading can be bought, sold, or traded while goods are in transit and is used for letter of credit transactions. The customer usually needs the original or a copy as proof of ownership to take possession of the goods. Consular invoice. Certain nations require a consular invoice, which is used to control and identify goods. The invoice must be purchased from the consulate of the country to which the goods are being shipped, and usually must be prepared in the language of that country. Certificate of origin. Certain nations require a signed statement as to the origin of the export item. Such certificates are usually obtained through a semi-official organization such as a local chamber of commerce. In the case of Nigeria, the issuing authority is the National Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industries, Mines and Agriculture, NACIMA. A certificate may be required even though the commercial invoice contains the same information. Certificate of inspection. Some purchasers and countries may require a certificate of inspection attesting to the specifications of the goods shipped, usually performed by a third party. Inspection certificates are often obtained from independent testing organizations. For proper self-protection, we advise Nigerian exporters to always carry out pre-shipment inspection by certified international agents such as SGS, Cotecna, etc. This will come in useful in case of disputes over quality and quantities of the goods that were shipped. Dock receipt and warehouse receipt. These receipts are used to transfer accountability when the export item is moved by the domestic carrier to the port of embarkation and left with the international carrier for export. Destination control statement. This statement appears on the commercial invoice, ocean or airway bill of lading, and is used to notify the carrier and all foreign parties that the item may be exported only to certain destinations. Insurance certificate. If the seller provides insurance, the insurance certificate states the type and amount of coverage. This instrument is negotiable. Export license, of course, where needed. It is important to advise that a Nigerian exporter does not require an export license. Rather, you need to register with the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and obtain an exporter registration certificate. This clarification is important as a lot of people have been taken for a ride and charged heavily under the guise of processing export license for them. Trust us. Export packaging list. Considerably more detailed and informative than a standard domestic packing list, an export packaging list itemizes the material in each individual package and indicates the type of package, the box, crate, drum, carton, and so on. It shows the individual net, legal, tear, and gross weights and measurements for each package. Package markings should be shown along with the shippers and buyers' references. The packing list should be attached to the outside of a package in a waterproof envelope marked "Packing List Enclosed." The list is used by the shipper or forwarding agent to determine 1. The total shipment weight and volume, and 2. Whether the correct cargo is being shipped. In addition, customs officials, both local and foreign, may use the list to check the cargo. An important caution here: documentation must be precise. Slight discrepancies or omissions may prevent merchandise from being exported, resulting in exporting firms not getting paid, or even resulting in the seizure of the exporter's goods by local or foreign government customs. For example, collection documents are subject to precise time limits and may not be honored by a bank if out of date. Much of the documentation is routine for freight forwarders or customs brokers acting on the firm's behalf, but the exporter is ultimately responsible for the accuracy of the documentation. Also, the number of documents the exporter must deal with varies depending on the destination of the shipment. Because each country has different import regulations, the exporter must be careful to provide proper documentation.
Hello, I'm Denise.
My name is Yinka Titiloye. I'm a farmer. Welcome to the Itagro Model Farm.
I'm Craig Waters from Oklahoma State University.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Let us consider a case study to illustrate the importance of proper documentation and thereby bring to the fore the loss that could come as a result of being shoddy. Exporters usually make the mistake of believing that rejection only occurs when product quality is not complied with. Nothing could be further from the truth. Documentation, as we all know, plays an equally important, sometimes probably more important role in the export value chain than even the product quality itself. For example, in a letter of credit, the omission of a simple comma can actually result in half payment, reduced payment, or even no payment at all. When exports take place and the proper documentation is not complied with, it sometimes turns out to be smuggling. And therefore, we have in Nigeria companies that we could actually refer our viewers to get a hands-on on export documentation and its importance. Over the 3-year period, 2010 through 2012, Sun and Sand Industries Limited, a company that exports aluminium ingots out of Ota, Ogun State, to as far away as Osaka in Japan, had won the Exporter of the Year, that is the best exporter of the year in Nigeria in terms of documentation. Sun and Sand Industries is extremely meticulous in ensuring that all its documentation is complete, and that is why the National Committee conferring the awards, going through Central Bank of Nigeria records, singled out that company. Colonial Ventures Limited actually originated the life of another company quoted on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. We're talking about FTN Cocoa Processors Limited in Ibadan. They do cocoa processing for export. And from day one, the management of FTN Cocoa Processors had agreed and complied with the advice of Colonial Ventures Limited to ensure appropriate documentation. And today the company holds its head high. Those are not the only two companies. Unilever Nigeria PLC, in fact, Friesland Campina, makers of Wamco milk, have heeded the advice of Colonial Ventures Limited as far as helping to ensure proper documentation of exports is concerned. And in all of these cases, the companies have stood, if you want, the test of time and are actually ranking to par with their peers in the international marketplace when it comes to exporting. Therefore, an export that does not have a packing list, that does not have the appropriate bill of lading, that has an SGD that has not been endorsed by the export seat of the customs, obviously does not meet the export requirements even of the exporting country, and therefore the importer is likely to find it tough when it comes to clearing. Exporters must understand that rejection can come as a result of your not supplying the complete documents, or actually not completing the documents in the format and content that they are required. In 1999, a Nigerian company exported a 40-foot container of ginger out of Nigeria to Liverpool port. On arrival at the port, the container was not accompanied by the proper documentation, and therefore the exporter was initially invited and advised to complete documentation. They were not able to meet the time that was set for them to complete the documentation until the port authorities in Liverpool invoked a penalty clause. The penalty clause was to the extent of giving the exporting company just 3 days within which to come and remove the consignment from the Liverpool port or risk international arbitration. The company was, of course, not able to meet up in 3 days. They came to us at Koinonia Ventures Limited, but I guess that was too little too late, as the only relief we could get for the company was for them to be exonerated from paying a fine to the Liverpool port authorities for helping them to destroy the 40-foot container load of ginger from Nigeria. The only cause of that was documentation. And so when people rise up to condemn the European Union for rejecting certain products from Nigeria, we must also find out, apart from the weevils and the chemical content, was documentation complied with? If it's not, traceability becomes an issue. The United Kingdom, for example, has spent millions of US dollars to build the capacity of exporters from developing countries, including Nigeria, on how to properly document in such a way that export products can be traced to their, not only the countries of origin, but probably to the farm of origin, probably to the year, to the month of production. That helps to eliminate the risks associated with human consumption of that particular export product. This is just an example again of how important documentation is, and therefore to be a top exporter, you need to spend the time that it will take you, you need to spend the energy, you need to already allocate the resources that will make you documentation compliant. As you now know, in the Corporate Affairs Commission segment, we get enlightened on key activities and principal programs of the Commission's interventions that help us operate in an organized business environment in Nigeria. This week, we shall be learning another concept.
First of all, I want to say that the Corporate Affairs Commission came into being through the establishment of through the promulgation of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. And this act has been in operation for 20 years now, over 20 years now. And of course, when you realize that the world over, nothing is static, economic and business situations change from time to time. And so the need is as a reason for the Commission to effect the review of the CAMA, at least to strengthen the regulatory and enforcement powers of the Commission. The review carried out on the CAMA will enable the Commission to meet or to keep pace with the economic and business situations in the world. It will take into consideration the changing business practices in the world, and this will impact positively on the economy of the country. Economic situations, circumstances, and practices change from time to time. And so the need as a reason for the Corporate Affairs Commission to review the Companies and Allied Matters Act, CAMA, to enable it keep pace with the changing circumstances, economic and business circumstances of the world. Well, I think this is a part of efforts to bring the CAMA in conformity with current global trends in company administration and regulation. And of course, we also know that the CAMA requires substantial amendments to enable it to keep pace with changing economic situations and modern business practices. This will actually strengthen the regulatory and enforcement powers of the Commission, and this no doubt will impact positively on the economy of the nation. It will help to create a very effective atmosphere for investments and all that. So there has been an in-house review of the CAMA, and we are inviting inputs from members of the public so that we can come up with a comprehensive and all-embracing law, which at the end of the day will be passed through the Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment to the National Assembly for final enactment.
Hello, I'm Denise.
My name is Yinka Titiloye. I'm a farmer. Welcome to the E32 Model Farm.
I'm Craig Waters from Oklahoma State University.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Watch Export Digest.
Let us now take our question of the week. Remember, the first correct entry gets a prize, this time courtesy of Newgate Hospital Foundation. We have come to the end of yet another interesting episode of Export Digest. Thank you so much for staying with us. We believe that you are getting real value from your faithful following of the program as we strive to always expand your knowledge and enhance your readiness to export. Remember, you can watch this particular episode and others before it on our YouTube channel www.youtube.com/exportdigest. As usual, we will appreciate your comments, observations, and contributions, as this will help us on our march towards making Nigeria a viable exporting nation and lead our viewers into the hidden secrets of export treasures. Our channels of communication remain open and have been showing on your screen. Many thanks again to our sponsors for their contributions to the growth of Export Digest. Also remember that by showcasing your businesses, goods and services on this program, you will be helping us immensely to pay for our airtime and cost of production, while expanding the corporate mileage that you get for your brand, products and services. We therefore invite you to come on board by calling us today, and you will be glad you did. Join us same time on this same channel next week for another eye-opening package of Export Digest. I remain Femi Boyede. See you then, and God bless Nigeria.